I think it's a interesting contrast, the concept of walking in the Spirit and being led by the Spirit. Because the truth of the matter is that we do deal with the flesh. We do. Now, the Spirit, the Word of God says that He will help us with our infirmities. He'll help us to overcome the infirmities. But the realities of the flesh are still there. And the reality of an enemy who wants to chain us into his enslavement because of sin, that's all reality. And so it does come down to choices. And there's a lot of things that pull at us. We're being pulled in a lot of different directions. And your heart may be intent on saying, I want to have a spiritual walk. I want to walk that the Lord would be pleased with. But then something comes along, as James says in his writing. He says, when lust is conceived, it brings forth sin. In other words, you weren't necessarily expecting to sin, but something got in your way. It may be you walk along and you see something, or maybe something is said, and it causes a process to start in your heart and mind, and you know that the enemy is at work, and we choose to let the enemy just run with it. And he's got us in his spell, and we're allowing it to happen because we're not thinking, hey, if God was pleased with this, then I'm just on the wrong path here. And I get to sense in my spirit that God's not pleased with it. But we don't do anything about it. We just let it run until it draws us into that which is sin, which is displeasing to God, which breaks the harmony of the relationship with God. And it all just has a ability to draw us into a realm that we don't really want to be in, because we want to be people who are walking and being led by the Spirit of God. But we fail because we choose not to do as James says when he says, draw nigh to God, resist the devil, and he'll flee. We choose not to do that because whatever it is, it seems to have a grip on us. And as James says, that when lust is conceived, it'll bring forth the sin unless we deal with it. And so this tells me that we do have the ability to make the choice, whether we want to walk in the Spirit and deal with the sin, or whether we want it to rule and reign in our lives and being led by the flesh, which will always bring death and destruction because that's the very nature of it. So, simply this. Who do we want to be? Do we want to be that person who's walking with Christ in the Spirit, having that blessed peace in our heart? Or do we make the choice that we see the sin, we want to have that in our lives, and we allow it to reign? And those are choices that we have to make. This is Pastor Jack King with the gospel on the radio broadcast.